It's plain to see that virtually every aspect of our modern world has been shaped by science and technology. While we have yet to see the flying cars and hoverboards that we were all promised decades ago, it's safe to say that none of our parents or grandparents could have predicted a time when we would all carry tiny computers capable of accessing the entirety of the world's knowledge in our pockets, and use them mainly for chatting with friends and looking at pictures of cats. The internet, self-driving cars, smart appliances, these kinds of scientific advances are designed to make life easier and more streamlined than ever before. But that's not necessarily the aim of every new technology. In fact, some of the most mind-blowing things you'll ever see seem to have been cooked up for that express purpose, to blow your mind, and to make you wonder just how hard and fast the rules of physics really are. Here are the top 10 objects apparently invented for one reason only: to take the natural laws governing our world and toss them right out the window. Unlike most objects on our list, the rattleback has been around since ancient times, and it puzzled and fascinated our ancestors every bit as much as it does us. An elliptical-shaped top, the rattleback is designed for spinning, but only in one direction. If you attempt to spin one in the wrong direction, it will become unstable, rattling to a stop, and then promptly begin to spin in its preferred direction. This action seems to violate a number of physical laws, most notably the law of conservation of angular momentum. Ancient rattlebacks were made out of many strips of wood of varying densities, while modern ones can be made from glass, plastic, or a range of other materials. Put as simply as possible, the reversal action comes from instabilities which arise on the object's axes, which affect dynamic properties known as pitch and roll. To describe the rattleback's action in detail would require a degree in physics, and enough time to write an advanced dissertation. But if an object which can only spin in one direction is enough to rattle your brain, consider that there exists some special rattlebacks that will reverse when spun in either direction. The gombak looks like nothing more than an oddly shaped plastic rock, but its strange shape and composition constitutes an astonishing display of mathematical prowess. It is a type of object once thought to be impossible to construct, a monostatic object, which means that it can't rest in any position other than its preferred one. That is to say, it's the world's first self-righting object, first proven theoretically possible by an extremely complicated mathematical equation, and which took 10 years and countless experiments to perfect. To dumb it down significantly, the gombak's secret lies in having one stable and one unstable point of balance. If laid down on its side, the gombak will start to shake, wiggle, and rock back and forth until it achieves its desired equilibrium. Although not terribly practical, the amazing design won the two University of Budapest scientists who led the project a slew of awards and accolades. And if you'd like to own the world's most interesting paperweight, you can even buy one for the low price of around $1,700. If you were to witness water in a fountain flowing uphill, your first reaction would probably be to attempt to shake yourself awake from whatever weird dream you must be having. But James Dyson, the man who invented the bagless vacuum cleaner, took inspiration from the famous surreal Dutch artist M.C. Escher in designing the fountain piece at the center of what he appropriately calls the wrong garden, a series of 4 plastic ramps which the flowing water travels up before cascading off the edges and making its way up the next ramp. It's a mind-bending sight, but it's more of an illusion than a demonstration of physics mastery. The ramps are actually covered by an ultra-thin layer of glass, and pressurized water is pumped into the system. The setup is carefully designed so that once expelled at the end of the ramp, a small amount of water is diverted back down the glass covering, coating it in a thin layer of water. It's just enough to produce the illusion that there is no covering, and that Dyson's fountain is operating in a way that shouldn't be physically possible. There are a few other little tricks involved, but Dyson isn't revealing those until he has a patent. Chopping wood is a physically strenuous, rather dangerous activity. Hold your axe wrong or accidentally strike the log with a glancing blow, and you're apt to have the axe head come springing away in an unanticipated direction, which could pose a serious threat to life and limb. But one Finnish inventor got to wondering if there wasn't a better way to build an axe, one which would minimize the danger and make the work easier. And lo and behold, it turned out that there was. It's called the lever axe, and its action exploits the very mechanism that the name implies. It looks just like a regular axe, but there's a small projection off to one side that serves to both disperse kinetic energy and convert it to rotational energy. Not only does this dampen the springback effect, it actually helps to pry the wood apart like a lever with each and every strike, making the chore exponentially easier. It also causes the axe to naturally come to rest on its side, with its blade pointing away from the handler. A safer, more effective, and labor-saving design that really should become standard for all axes in the future. Bulletproof glass, or ballistic glass, has been in use in the security industry for decades. It's generally produced with materials that help to flatten out bullets and absorb shock, and it's very effective. But there are some purposes for which it hasn't been terribly practical. For example, a soldier in the battlefield may not want to make use of ballistic glass. While they may be protected from enemy fire, the very material which protects them keeps them from returning fire. Enter Protected Armored Services, a company at the forefront of producing bulletproof laminates. They have developed the world's first unidirectional bulletproof glass, meaning that one side will stop bullets, but the other will allow them to pass through. This seemingly impossible feat is achieved by layering special types of acrylics in such a way that one side will absorb shocks, while the other, composed of softer polycarbonate, allows munitions to pass and burst through the acrylic on the other side. It's an ingenious design that could save countless lives, as long as those using it make sure they're on the right side. At first glance, the Cypher drinking glass appears to be just a normal glass decorated with hundreds of tiny multicolored dots, but appearances can be deceiving. And once this glass is filled, it'll have you wondering just what kind of arcane wizardry was used to produce it. Fill it with any liquid and some of the dots will begin to change color. And then in perfectly retro 8-bit style text, the Cypher glass will spell out for you exactly what you're drinking. The creators of the glass won't divulge the exact process by which it works, so for all we know, actual magic might be involved. It's tough to explain how else it could be so accurate, because the Cypher glass can't just tell you whether you're chugging orange juice or milk. It can tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi. The glass is still in the concept stage, so it may not be showing up at your neighborhood bar anytime soon. But once it does, you can be assured that people will throw all kinds of weird drink combinations at it just to see how magical it really is. Here's one physics-defying device that you'll only see in one place, the El Cellar de Can Roca restaurant in Spain, which uses it to serve up a treat that you literally can't get anywhere else. The device, custom designed for the restaurant by chef Andreu Carulla, is aptly named the Oxymoron Maker 2, and it's designed expressly for the purpose of baking ice cream inside a pastry without melting it. It's constructed from stainless steel and bamboo, which is all that's known about it, since the restaurant has no intention of ever letting its prized device become available to the public. But somehow it's able to quickly bake a pastry shell to perfection while leaving the ice cream inside perfectly intact. It seems like a dream come true for anyone who has ever tried and failed to make a baked Alaska, but we'll leave it for you to decide whether one of the world's most singularly unique desserts is really worth the price of a plane ticket to Spain. Hydrophobic coating is exactly what it sounds like. It renders objects adverse to moisture, helping to keep them from suffering water damage when outdoors. But a few companies, including one called Never Wet, have developed super ultra hydrophobic sprays that, in the words of the company's website, make it so any object coated in it literally cannot be touched by water. Of course, many YouTubers have put this claim to the test, and you can watch all manner of videos online of this miracle spray repelling water, oil, mud, and just about any other slippery substance you can bring to mind. The most typical consumer use of the product is as a rain repellent for car windshields, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. Different formulas can be bought for repelling moisture from glass, fabric, metal, and other building materials. There's an amazing array of practical uses for such a product, but most of us will just enjoy an endless stream of strangely cathartic videos of all kinds of things being splashed with all manner of moisture and muck, only to emerge perfectly dry. If the average person had a nickel for every time they tipped over their coffee mug at an inopportune moment, they would have, well, a truckload of nickels. It seems as if the only possible perfect mug design would simply be an ordinary mug with a big flashing neon sign that reads, "Do not tip." But the intrepid designers of the Mighty Mug had other ideas. The mug uses a proprietary technology that the manufacturers call Smart Grip, which enables it to cling like Spider-Man to any flat, smooth surface upon which it is placed. Lifting it straight up to take a drink is just as easy as with any other mug. But if you strike the Mighty Mug with any kind of lateral blow, it simply will not budge. You can even give it a good hard punch and it will stand tall, keeping your coffee where it belongs, and not all over your wallet or laptop. Of course, the mug's inventors aren't saying how it works, but if, like most of us, you tend to be a bit accident-prone before you finished your first cup, you won't care. Starlight is one of the most mysterious substances ever produced by science, and it will almost certainly remain that way. It was invented by hairdresser and amateur chemist Maurice Ward, who claimed and demonstrated that it was able to withstand vast amounts of heat, even protecting an object as delicate as an egg or a human hand from the high temperatures produced by a blowtorch. In one experiment, an egg was shown to still be completely raw and cool enough to the touch to be picked up, after being enveloped in starlight and subjected to a blowtorch's extreme heat for 5 entire minutes. Ward's claims were verified verified by such agencies as the Atomic Weapons Establishment and NASA, who were allowed to conduct experiments on samples, but they weren't allowed to keep them, as Ward was so fiercely protective of his formula that he refused to even let said samples out of his sight. It's thought to be composed of a blend of up to 21 polymers and copolymers, both organic and inorganic in nature, but this is really just an educated guess. Ward died in 2011, taking the secret of Starlight's composition to his grave. And even though he once claimed that his close family was familiar with his process for fabricating it, none of them have come forward to produce any viable samples since.